Përshëndetje and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week I am joined by the country director of GIZ, Dr. Sonja Kurz. We're going to be talking about her impressions of Albania, life in Albania, tourism, sustainability, and most importantly, women's rights ahead of the 16 days of activism. Dr. Sonja Kurz, thank you very much for coming today for this interview and welcome to Inside Albania.
Welcome.
Now, you've been in Albania since 2019, I believe. Now, when you heard that you were coming to Albania, I'm curious, what were your initial thoughts? Did you have any preconceptions, any sort of ideas about what it might be like, good or bad? And how did those change once you arrived?
When I came to Albania, it was a quite tricky start because officially my job was starting in 2020, but my first impression was when I came 2019, I was coming for an handover, and it was the time of the big earthquake. So I first had the first earthquake. Then when I came back the second time, it was the outbreak of Corona. So this was a really tough start, and the first impression of the country was, of course, totally different to the one I have now. It was like chaos, very frightened people. I couldn't meet directly with the people in the countries. My first half a year, I never met one of the single partners in person, only online. So this was, from the start, it was maybe a different one than I had it all. So, but going aside this, also I came, and I really have to admit, after now looking back for quite some time, I was a little bit naive, because I was really thinking, okay, I was a little bit prepared about the country, knowing about the history, but still, I always figure out how much the history of the Albanians are influencing what they are doing now. And every time I think I have understood everything and I have understood the histories, I realize, no, I have not. And also how severe and how it's still influencing. I think this is something I really am learning day by day, that there's still...
Can you give me an example? I assume you mean sort of things to do with communism and the trauma that caused.
Yes, it's always like you think, we are discussing about the land rights always, yeah? So for investments and everything, and you think, okay, it's solved somehow, or at least there are, but still it goes back, yeah? So to all these times, so that we are not getting the right land rights for investment, yeah? This is one thing. On the other side, it's... we were just now discussing about where farmers, they never were working on their own in the communism time. They only were state-owned farmers. They had a totally different idea of what farming is, yeah, and agriculture business is, and what about innovation, all these things. And they really have to shift and to understand what it is. And I was just now the weekend spending in the wineries, and I also learned how much the change of mindset it was needed to really come up with this now really modern, innovative wineries, and that it takes a longer time. Yeah? It's not...
I heard, I was speaking to someone who works with the production of medicinal herbs in the north of Albania, and he has sort of his big factory, and he works with lots of smaller farmers. And he said one of the biggest struggles that he has had is trying to get people to work in a cooperation together, in a collaboration together, because they're sort of traumatized by the cooperative sort of mentality of communism that was forced on them. And now they're hesitant to work together because it kind of reminds them of back then. You know, he said this is the struggle that he has today.
And I do remember when I came here and was thinking, why are there no cooperatives? I was, no, don't mention the work, Sonja. Don't mention it. Yeah. So I mean, really, this was always these traps. And I mean, also that this country is so fragmented. Of course, it's because of the communism, and we always have to understand why is it so hard to get a big plot for a supermarket chain who wants to invest? Because you have these small plots, and they all have to work together. And
you mentioned the problem with land documents. How big a barrier is this to rural development and to small business owners throughout the country?
I think it's one of the biggest issues. Yeah, I mean, we had last week. I attended some. They presented some studies from the Foreign Investors Association, but also from the Business and Investment Climate, and it ranks on the top of the burdens or the complications for investing, or even for setting up businesses here in the country. So it's not even for foreign investment; it's for everybody who wants to grow. And
I remember a couple of years ago, I wanted to buy a small farm, mini farm sort of place in the north, and I had this big dream about what I'd do with it. But I could not find anywhere that had all of the documents in order. I remember seeing one house, it was gorgeous. It was an old, like, stone northern house. But the documents were for half of it, but the dividing line went through the middle of the house, you know. And they were like, they didn't really understand what my hesitance was, you know, why I didn't want to buy it. It was a nightmare trying to find anywhere. You know, I wanted to open maybe a small butina or agritourism or something, some sort of sustainable, but just no chance, because I couldn't find anywhere where everything was in order.
No,
you know,
it's always the same. And some investors are more... They like the risk, others are more risk averse. So it's really,
yes,
you can see.
This is,
who's investing and who's taking the risk of not having everything properly in place.
And what was the biggest surprise when you got here? Like, positive surprise, like, wow, I didn't know this, I wasn't expecting this, like culturally, socially, in terms of nature?
So I'm really... I have to say, I was really amazed by the nature of the country. Yeah. So I mean, to have the different in such a small area and the different kinds. Yeah, and you can. Everything was when we came. It was the Corona times. And we were traveling lots. Yeah, in the country, because it was very tough to go abroad and to cross the borders. So everything was empty, and we were traveling like hell with the family to see, and to really be there in the north, in the mountains, swimming in the gorges, in the rivers. I mean, it was something I really have not experienced, and even the seaside was near. And to see the difference was something I really liked. Also, something I'm still extremely impressed, and I've never seen this in other countries I was working, is the attitude to work of the people. Yeah. So so they are really so interested in work. They like to work. They really want to change the country. Yes. They are really quick. The most of them are extremely good capacitated. So it's really the speed, how they want to work. It's the kind of how they are dealing with it. Yeah. So this is something. Yeah. And they are not. And even if you look at the ministers in here, they are really working 7 days a week sometimes. Yes. Yeah, it's not that they are stopping and it's 5 o'clock in the evening and we go, no, it's not. And if something has to be done, it's done. So this is something from the mentality I really enjoyed. And the other thing, of course, from the work-wise, it's a small country. And I never had the feeling, I always saw the results and the impact of our work so easily as I do here, because it's really, you can see it, it's working out. And I think it has to do because there's lots of speeds going on, and I really have the feeling the implementation of the projects we are doing, it's really has an impact. But on the other side, it's because the people are doing it, using it, making use of it, and really want to transform the country to a better place. So,
I mean, from the nature perspective, Albanian people ask me all the time, oh, but why do you want to be here? You know, we all want to live in England. And I say, you know, I live in Tirana. In 30 minutes, depending on the traffic, I can be at the beach. In 30 minutes, I can be up a mountain. I can be by a lake. I can travel, you know, a couple of hours south and it's like pristine beaches. I can go north and feel like I'm, you know, a million miles from anywhere in the middle of the mountains. And I explained, my mum used to teach in inner city London, and most of the kids in her school had never left London, and their parents had never left London. Like, to go outside of the city to the beach costs a lot of money. You have to travel for hours to go to the mountains. You need to stay overnight somewhere. We're very lucky here to have such easy access to such beautiful nature, you know. And they're kind of shocked when I say, yeah, there's kids in London that never leave the city ever, because they just don't have the financial means or, you know, the ability to.
No, I mean, that's really a big advantage of this country. Yeah?
And in terms of your work with GIZ, you've been here 6 years now. What is, for those who may not be familiar, before we start getting into the nitty-gritty a bit more, what's the overview of the work, the mission that you have in Albania?
So, I mean, GIZ is in the country since the 1988. So we are a really long-standing institution being here. And GIZ is an implementing agency. So since then, we are implementing projects mainly for the German government, but not only. We are also implementing the projects for the European Union. We are implementing for other countries, for the British government, for the Swiss government, and also for funds, bigger funds. So this is our task we have here. So, and always with the main goal to transform or to support Albania in their transformation. Yeah, first it was more to the from the communist times to the more liberal market systems and opening up systems. And but it's also now the main focus is of course to prepare Albania and to make everything clear so that they will become member of the European Union. So EU accession, of course, is now what is driving us as well. So this is what we are mainly doing. Now, really, the main part of what we are doing is really focus on EU accession. And this we do in, we call it in our 4 megatrends. So we are really, GIZ is also, they have 4 unique selling points. One is that we are really partner-oriented. So this is really, we want to see what is the Albanian government, what is the main challenges for the Albanian government, what do they need, and what are they asking us to do. So we will do only what they will ask us to do. Secondly, we are also focusing very much on the capacity development part. So this is, we are not doing the work for them. We are doing it with them, and we capacitate them to do so, because sustainability in our programs, I think, is over a very long run. This is what the country is needed, and especially if you become member of the European Union. So sometimes it's a really harder way to go than...
you need a lot more hand-holding.
And doing this. And then, of course, what we are always doing is in this dialogue with also all the other stakeholders. Yeah, we always try to make sure that the civil society, the private sector, all the other partners who are impacted by any decision of the government also is really combined and integrated in these approaches. There's also, it's discussions, takes time, yeah? It's decisions who has to be taken commonly. So this is also a timing issue, but this is what we're doing. And having these instruments a little bit on side, so we are focusing on 4 areas. One is, of course, we are supporting the area of economic resilience in the country. Then we have our second megatrend, which is... we call it climate action, because Albania is the most affected country in Europe of climate. And maybe it's not because it's the most severe situation, but they are the less prepared. Because they have no systems in place, no early warning system in place, no mechanisms how they can deal with the climate part. Then, of course, our the third area is the European accession, integration, so really prepare them. And one, we call it livable cities, because under livable cities, we really want to make the cities and municipalities here in Tirana so that people will stay here. Yeah, and this means they must have good transport, waste collection. Then we are having project in wastewater treatment. So this is, and supporting the municipalities to do all these kinds, also including circular economy systems, getting new innovations in their areas. This is what we're doing.
Waste management is one of my biggest stresses. And,
mine too.
I have foreign friends coming to visit me quite often, and they stay with me, and they're like, how do you separate the recycling? Where does the recycling go? And I'm like, you can do it, but it's all going to go in the same place. And they're like, what do you mean? You know, it just shows there's such a difference between other places in Europe where there's no other option but to recycle your household waste, and here where there's just no way of doing it. And I don't understand why this is not a thing, why there's not more focus on it. Why?
There is focus on it.
From the government. I mean, why are they not? I mean, this is a huge priority. It should be.
Yes, and it is a priority. And we are really trying hard to also, I mean, this also goes ahead with the change of behavior. Yeah?
Yes.
So it's really this awareness creation and really looking at these topics. I've learned that this is not an easy part. Yeah. So this is really, it takes time and it's ongoing. On the other side, we already do collect waste. And there we have normally the 3 waste streams, which is of course composting, plastic and paper. And then of course the rest. So in some of the cities, you already have these areas where you can collect, and we will see to do this. We also see that we don't get the amount of the waste streams we really need to develop private sector businesses who really make use out of this. But it's getting better. Now we are really expanding these composting and all these waste streams and recycling areas. So we are really spreading out. I think we have now more than at least 10 or 12 municipalities who are really doing these kind of collection of different waste streams. And this also gives a bigger amount of plastic waste you can use for private sector investing and making use of it, papers. So this is what we are aiming for. And we also have some ideas to do this. We also have smaller initiatives now, and I'm really happy. So because we have, for instance, we have a class, So there are small initiatives, but there were small brewers in the country, so there are small brewers in the country, and they all use glass bottles. They all spend a lot of money in part of the beer price. The bottle is quite expensive. So, but they never were thinking of reusing it because the machine was so expensive to clean the bottles. So now what we find out that if you bring all the small brewers together, they all buying the same form of
the same
bottles.
Shape,
they all have the same. You need one machine for all the small brewers to clean the bottles. So they are now taking back the bottles, and they have one private sector established for cleaning these bottles, and now they can reuse it. So these are small initiatives starting, but I think it's a very nice story.
Yeah, because in other countries in Europe, they give you money when you take your bottles back. This is a great incentive because you're like, right, how much am I going to get for these? It's.
I've also learned that this is quite expensive to introduce the system, but I hope sooner or later we will come.
Yes, it's change of mentality overall, I guess. When I sometimes raise these issues, people say, but we have, people starving and everyone's leaving the country and you care about recycling. And I'm like, it's important as well,
Yeah, but we also there are smaller success stories like with the composting we have.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are lots of, especially in the region where you have most of the waste is compost. Especially in the areas where you have all this agricultural production, they really have lots. So first, it's very expensive for them to transport the composting to a landfill or whatever. So it's much easier to have the composting close to the areas they are. And we established these kind of composting systems. And it's extremely good. They reduce the waste they have to transport. They have compost out of this. They can reuse it.
No, I didn't mean, you guys need to put more focus on it. I meant it doesn't seem to be a priority higher up, and
Yes, but it was always a priority in the ministries, but it was really very tricky to implement. And there's also lots of, now the other side, of course, is what you're doing with the waste, but the other thing is, of course, to prevent, not to make so much waste.
Yeah.
And now with this upcoming extended producer law, which really gives also the producer the task not to use so much packaging that it's wasted or that you can reuse it. This is also something the government is bringing on, and it will be decided, or hopefully this next week or by end of the month, so that it's...
Now, you mentioned EU accession. Albania has very ambitiously said 2030, and the European Commission seemed to be quite okay with this as a goal. They've definitely changed their language in terms of how they're talking about enlargement, particularly an imminent new wave of enlargement. Do you think it's possible by 2030?
Very good question. So, and also with our management team, we just 2 weeks ago, we had betting. So is it coming or is it not coming? And it was really 50-50.
Yeah.
But I think everybody knows that this will be very driven by political decisions more than if Albania will be ready by the time, yes or no. Because, I'm not quite sure. I think it's 80,000 pages of EU law they have to implement, and this is in a short period. So this is really...
Even with AI, it's going to be...
So even with the capacities, and no, I'm not talking about qualitative capacity, but even with the quantitative capacities here they have, it will be a huge task, and everybody knows it. So I think in this way, Albania won't be 100% ready by 2028 when their signing process will start, or in 2030. But from the political side, the will and what's going on, I think there's a good chance now with all these geopolitical issues around Albania in the world to become a member.
Yes.
But it will be a big task. And I also discussed where we had a consultant coming from Croatia, and I was asking him, what do you think? When is the big push coming? Is it when you are in the European Union? Because how was it in Croatia? Were you better prepared? And he said he was thinking that Albania is much better prepared when they entered the European than they was at the time. And the big push, of course, is coming when you are in the European Union. So you have other access to funds, you have more pressure to really do things. And also it will be very hard for some institutions, business, private sector, people to really understand what it means. But then you have the goal, how to work with it.
I'm with you. I think if the geopolitical situation remains the same, the momentum is definitely there for it to happen. I think every wave of enlargement it was more about politics than people actually being ready. And I would even say that there are some members of the EU today who don't meet the requirements, So I think it's a necessity. And I think Albania deserves to be in the EU. It's like one of the most pro-EU countries, and they've been that way since the transition to democracy. And as a Brit, I lost my EU passport because of Brexit, so I quite like another one. I'm joking about that. I don't care. But no, I'd like to see them join. I think they deserve it in terms of the spirit and the mentality and wanting to be European. I think it's something beneficial to Europe at the moment to have Albania as part of it.
Definitely. And they are really trying hard, and they are really doing good homeworks. They are going well prepared to Brussels. So I think on this, what they can do, I think they are quite clear. And I think it's also it's a clear goal. There's no other opportunity. So that's the way how to go. And
now or never.
Yes, but also for Albania, I mean, what else can they do? I mean, they are part of Europe, so their market is the European Union. They are a small country.
Yes.
So today you cannot survive as a small country on your own. So you need partners, and that there's no alternative. So this is why definitely I think it's
Fingers crossed. Let's talk about tourism. I've been lucky enough to be on many trips with GIZ over the years, going to different places, seeing different initiatives, villages where local people have been inspired to open boutinas or to offer experiences that are traditional and things. And aside from the great work that GIZ does, I was in one village, Shistovets, some weeks ago, and I spoke to this young boy, and he was 15, and he said, yes, it's a beautiful place, and yes, it's great for tourists, but we live here, and the road is bad. We don't have electric, we don't have water, the school's terrible, we don't have a doctor in the village. He's like, how can we stay and wait for things to get better to serve tourists when we don't have our basic needs? He was like, I want to go. Everyone wants to leave. And it's so hard because I go to these places and I see such potential, and I think, my God, if people knew about this place, they would want to come here and stay and immerse themselves and meet these wonderful people and hike in these beautiful mountains. But I also fear that the level of infrastructure available for local people is not increasing at a level which is going to allow that to happen, because many of them are just going to leave. And this is something I find really difficult as I travel around, because I want to talk about tourism, and I believe this is the way many of these rural areas can be saved. But at the same time, I see that it's really hard for some of the people that live there. How do you reconcile that? Like, how do you feel about this sort of issue as well? I'm not talking about the work you do, because the work you do is amazing. It's crucial, because you inspire these people, you help them see outside of the box. But there are challenges as well.
Okay, but now we're tackling many different topics.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
Because one is, of course, the immigration topic of the whole country, which is an issue. But also another topic is the demographic change also, because you don't have so many young people anymore that there is enough pupils into schools. It's not so. This is so that you have the different demographic change, and of course you have the centralization process in Albania, which everything goes to Tirana. So these are three different topics, and in this small village, maybe everything comes together.
Yes.
So because if you don't have enough young people anymore to provide schools, if you don't have, you not even can fill one class or two classes, so it doesn't make any sense, yeah? If there are no people who need doctors, or even for a doctor, it doesn't make sense to open up an issue. So this is, but the demographic change, I think it's coming everywhere, it's the same issue. The second part, of course, everything, the centralization towards Tirana, and everything is happening in Tirana. In our projects, we really try to overcome this issue and also focus on other regions. But there are some things which is also, we also can face here, especially if you look at the higher education, for instance, yeah? So if you look at the size of Albania and the 2 million inhabitants, yeah, how many universities you can have in a country? Compared, I mean, to other cities, yeah, only in Berlin we have 4 million people, but then you have, of course, you have 3, 4, 5 universities, big universities, but here it doesn't make any sense to have more. So it's clear that if you want to have an education, either university or vocational training centers, that you go where the most people are, and to go, and does it make sense with this small number of young people to have a university in Kocha, a university in Himar or Saranda and everywhere else? No, economically it doesn't make any sense. So you have to, I do understand that it's not good for a country, but on the other side, if you look at the small amount of inhabitants of this country, it's clear that it's focusing. And I've also learned that people, you can't stop them if they want to emigrate. And I mean, everybody of us, you are here now.
Yes.
Everybody of us is emigrating somehow in his life. So to have this role, but I really do hope that people are coming back and that they see the value and that they are prepared and they come with a different mindset to really boost this country as well. So I think it's tricky, and to be prepared and then to have the awareness. So this is what we're really trying in the tourism area, because this is the main sector where you can attract shops and people and markets in the area and not around Tirana. So this is, okay, you have the agricultural sector and you have the tourism sector, but that's how you can keep people in the countryside.
I grew up in the UK in Cornwall in the south, and it's really rural area. And I remember when I was...
Very nice area.
Yeah, it's lovely. But I grew up in a house like 10 miles from the nearest town, or really rural. We had a road with no asphalt, you know. And I remember that when I was young, lots of people were leaving. They were all moving up country, as we called it, to the big cities for work. And all the young people were like, I can't wait to finish school because I'm going to move to London or to Bristol or America. And okay, most of the people I went to school with have left the UK now, actually. A few live in London, a few are where we still grew up. But what's happened now? So first of all, the place emptied a lot. And then people started coming back from the cities, or people who were born in other parts of the country saw how beautiful Cornwall was, and they bought a house there, and they opened a hotel, or they had a remote job and they worked from home. And now these places, it's difficult to find somewhere to even rent, because people are coming from other parts of the country to live there because it's beautiful, because it's different from where so even in 30 years or so, it's changed from, oh my God, everyone's leaving, to lots of people have come back. Okay, the house prices have gone up, the cost of living is insane there, but maybe this is something that might happen in Albania at some point. You'll have people coming from other countries who want to work remotely and live in the mountains in Scrapar, or people from Saranda wanting to live in the mountains in Lepusha. I don't know, maybe this is some pattern that we might see in Albania in the future.
But I think it's already starting, because especially now, all these wineries, I was just in the weekend, they all lived abroad and they were coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, they lived in Italy, they lived in France. They are coming back to do their own business or to take over their parental inheritance, what they had, and from small farms or nothing, they're really trying to build up something new.
Yes.
And even our staff in GSZ, there are lots of people coming back from the States or from other countries. They had their experience abroad and they are coming back. It's not a big amount, but I can see how it's working. Slowly, it's coming.
And I see it online as well in Facebook groups and things. You'll get people from the Netherlands, lots of Dutch people. We want to buy a farmhouse, we remote work, we want to set up a yoga retreat or something, and they're looking for these places that are abandoned by Albanian people because they've gone somewhere else. And this is what they want. And Albanians like, but they're crazy, you know. But they want the quiet life, the rural life, you know, to grow their own fruits and vegetables. They just need electric and an internet connection, and that's it.
No, but I think it also comes with all this, the change of the reputation of Albania, yeah, because of all these tourists coming in and all the products you developed here. I mean, it's also for people staying here, they have now much more possibilities, yeah. Now you can do hiking, cycling. Then we have this Via Ferrata now with this climbing issues, yeah. You have all these activities, and especially outdoor activities, which are creating, so it's not boring to be there anymore, but you have something to do. And I think this is also very important for a country. And this is extremely developing. I mean, I'm here now in my 6 years. I mean, when I came, we didn't had there was no climbing at all.
No.
Cycling was nearly impossible, yeah. So I also realized that people in Tirana, they couldn't even know how to ride a bike, yeah. So it was really a total, from this aspect, it was different, yeah. But so all these things are developing, and this makes the country much more attractive. Everybody is talking positive about Albania. So they say, okay, they are talking positive about, even if you live in the diaspora, they are talking positive about the country now. And this change of reputation is so much worth also doing and bringing this people back.
I mean, when I came here 8 years ago, people were like, Albania, really? Are you sure? Are you okay? You know, text me each night before you go to bed, like worried. Yeah. And now they're like, oh my God, what's it like? I'm thinking of going on holiday. I've had colleagues from where I work in Brussels as well who booked their honeymoon in Albania because they'd seen like my social media. And I was like, wow, that's a vote of trust, isn't it? Yeah, it's really changed a lot. And in terms of activities and things, you're completely right. Like it gets to the weekend and there are too many things that I want to do and not enough Alices to do them, or time, you know? Absolutely. It's really, I wish I could make some Albanian people understand this a bit more.
But also the culture in Tirana, I mean, it's also, I mean, in the evenings you have 3-4 concerts you want to go when you cannot. So
galleries, book launches, music at the Opera Theatre, clubs with music. I mean, it's...
Yes, and every guest or friend who's coming to see us, is totally overwhelmed about what's going on. And because you still have, we were talking about these stereotypes or these, or what we're thinking about Albania at the beginning. It's a young country. Lots of things are developing very quickly.
Lots of energy,
lots of new products, so what you can do. And I think this is also something where you think, okay, I want to be here because here, and also to come back because here you can afford to go to the opera with your family. You can afford to do special things, which I think in London it's also quite expensive if you take tickets for the opera with the four.
I mean, I take my daughter to the opera, €4 or something, €5. I forget. Sometimes they're free, you know. Yes. This is not the
opera
case.
Ticket's about €15, but it's still nothing compared to, I don't know, £100 you pay. Or whatever you will pay in England, but it's...
Now, we are just ahead of the 16 days of activism, and I want to talk, I mean, I have a vested interest in this, about this book. Utopia Woman was the book that I worked on with Genti Minga, and it's talking about equality between men and women. Can you give me a bit of a backstory, how this book came to be, what inspired it, and the work that GIZ is doing in this area?
I can do so.
Thank you.
Because really gender equality is one of our main topics which each and every program or project has to think about, because it's very easy to forget 50% of the population and not realizing that maybe there will be a different impact on different groups, so on. So women empowerment definitely is to the heart of our work as well. Yeah. Especially to mine as well, because I really support these kind of topics. And so what we are doing is that each and every program really has to see what impact does it have on women, on men, is there a difference, and how do we overcome this? So this is, and also to see, so we are also reeling, so it's not only this gender sensitive approach or we have, so that we're thinking of, it's also not gender responsive. So they're saying, okay, we do some small things, but we really want to transform the laws and everything so that it's really, there's gender equality. So this is then how we started to make studies and to look in our programs and to see, okay, how can we come up with gender transformative approaches? And we also were collecting data to really make sure, because I learned that you only can change the the laws and the behavior if we really have disaggregated data, gender disaggregated data, and they do start also collecting data. Yeah, so we did it especially in the transport sector. I can come to this later, how the influence on this gender disaggregated data can be. But I learned we have to do this. So we did studies, and then in the end we were saying, okay, the study was fine. It was extremely important for the work, for our project work. But then we were thinking, okay, how can we go out to the public with these? Because nobody is reading studies anymore, yeah? And also to creating awareness among people, we have to very simplify it. So this was how we came up with the idea of, but comics, people are reading. And we also have to attract younger people, yeah? Because this is where you also start with these gender stereotypes, rethinking and discussion, you have to do so. So this is when we came out, okay, the whole studies and some of the data we have to make in the comic, and so that everybody's reading it, and this is how we came up with Utopia. And Utopia is, the story is all about two girls meeting. One is from Utopia. Utopia is the ideal world where everything is perfect, there is no gender inequality and everything is very clear, and she's coming to Albania and meets Dua, and Dua is the Albanian girl telling her life is on earth in Albania and what she's facing for some issues. So there are lots of stereotypes and discussion points here with data supported in this comic.
And it's it is a cleverer way of presenting it, because, young people are not going to sit and read a report. Really, this is the sad reality. It's a much better way to present it. And what was the reaction when it was published, when it was sort of made public? How did people respond? What feedback did you get on the book?
So first of all, we have different versions. So one, we also have we have the English version, the Albanian version. We have also, we can color this book, yeah. So we have it without. So we had different target groups. And I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning, how people are coming up. But we had now this, especially after we have big, we have big conferences where we are bringing it to everybody is very supportive and overwhelmed. And especially after the last Women on Boards meeting where we were discussing it, we had so many requests afterwards. That's extremely positive. Yeah, so people really want to use it for their kind of work they are doing. But also we are going into schools with these books. And I also gave one of this to my daughter. She went to school and teachers were interested. Yes, so they were asking for more copies in schools.
I worked on another book with Genti about bullying, and we went into my daughter's school and did a presentation of it, and they completely so I'm going to put this on the agenda as well, to go in and present this, because they loved it. And we had teachers from other classes asking, and the teachers asked us to come back sort of in 6 months to do it again with them. It's this sort of thing is really, I had the parents of the kids as well asking for copies of it afterwards, because their kids had gone home like, oh my God, this was so cool, so maybe I'll go in with this in
Yes, you do this as well, but we're also starting now in this upcoming 16 days of activism. We're really going into schools, and we call it Stereotype Factory. So where you really go in and then you discuss some of the stereotypes presented here and how do they perceive it. And
yes. Can we talk a bit, how do you feel? You mentioned the challenges for women in Albania and the differences between men and women, and gender equality is a bit of a hot topic at the moment because of this law that was passed. And I think in that debate that was going on in the media, which was including a lot of false information, the core of the issue was kind of lost, which is the need for equality between men and women and what this means in practice. What do you see are the main issues for women in this country that need to be addressed?
So first of all, when you come to Albania and you see the living, you don't have the feeling that there is a big topic, yeah? Because when I came, I was thinking, so many people are in leading positions, 50% of the government is maybe female, so you don't really have the feeling. You see women are dressed like everywhere else, they don't have to cover nothing. So, but if you really dig deeper, you really see that there's still a very old-fashioned topics, or that it's some women are like, for instance, we had a very small program only after Corona where we were looking at the situation in schools, toilet for women. I mean, it was a disaster. Even in Tirana, there are schools where you have toilet for women with no water. So still women cannot go to a toilet, yeah? Sorry, and this is, I think this is quite critical, yeah? Because especially for them, it's, and also when they have their menstruation or so, it's really an issue. So they didn't go to school. So 3, 4, 5 days, even in Tirana center, girls didn't go to school because of this, yeah? Wow. Or they always had to run out to neighboring coffees to take this. I was shocked because I knew this from projects in remote areas, in mountain areas in Morocco or in Africa. So it was really, for me, shocking. So these are the things. And also the things is the violence against women really growing after Corona. I mean, I was also shocked if you really see the data, how
it's
this is
among the highest in Europe, isn't it?
The highest in Europe. Also, the killing of women, in the last 2 years, 23 women were killed because of this. I mean, this is something really concerning,
Yes.
So this is another issue. And then, of course, we also see the data that schooling, girls are about the best after the 3rd level, but they're still not presented in on
they get paid less.
Higher levels. So there is a like in between, and I think everything goes much also to this traditional thinking. So women, if there's family coming, women have to take care for everything. Women have to stay home, and to change the whole process. I think it's.
But now
there's a deeper thing behind
it. The problem is now that, I mean, very few Albanian families that I mean, let's say in Tirana, for example, can afford for the woman to stay at home. You know, both have to go to work. But what happens is when they come home, Albanian women are doing an average of 6.5 hours of domestic labor at home every day, which, you know, I love taking care of my family. You know, I love doing things for my daughter. I like cooking. But when you compare to the fact that men do less than an hour, there's a bit of a discrepancy there, you know. This is not equal. If both people are going to work, both people are bringing in money, the work, it is work that is being carried out at home, should be shared. Also, I saw another statistic that women are more likely to be, they are employed by the family business, but not paid. So maybe they're working in a family hotel or farm or, you know, various different things, and they're not paid for that work. Whereas the men have the control of the finances and have the freedom to spend the money, which again is a problem as well. So these are serious issues. The thing with violence as well, I mean, I'm still shocked. And I've asked so many people, why is Albania is so family focused? You know, they talk so much about family values and respect. So why is the rate of domestic violence higher than anywhere else in Europe? And nobody knows. And I wish I knew. It really upsets me because it doesn't appear to be getting better either. I don't know whether it's more people are reporting. I think that has changed. You know, I think there is a bit less stigma about reporting incidents of domestic violence. I do think police are more aware, a bit more educated. They're more likely to take women seriously. So maybe this is contributing to the increase in the statistics as well. But it should be getting better.
But still, I mean, even when they're unborn, I mean, that's really starting. So a boy counts more than a girl. So even here you have abortions because it's not a boy. I mean, I was shocked to hear, and we also have the data to see how this is happening. So we have 107 boys to 100 girls, which is not, it's not correct. So this is really starting from the beginning. So the reputation are coming up, and I'm also. It was so funny when I was on the playground when my kids were smaller, and then there was a boy hitting a girl on the playground, and then the girl said to me, I'm sorry, but he's a boy. I mean, this is the attitude. Why can a boy hit a girl, and the parents are not really taking care about this and solving the situation, and the other way around, it would be a disaster. So I mean, this is really. It's not okay that a boy is hitting a girl in the playground, and but it's the thinking also of the women raising the boys that this is fine. And why is it that I also even friends of mine, or they for the boys, they don't have to do any household work, the kids, yeah? So it has the girl to be, if something's happening, it's not okay. So it's also about raising an awareness going in this
the playground thing. So my daughter, she hit this boy. She gave him a slap. I mean, she didn't knock him out, but and it was outrage, oh my God, she did it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what happened before? It turned out this little darling, a boy, had been tormenting her all day in the class, had been told off by the teacher, had pushed her. And then at the end of the school day, she'd lost it and she slapped him. Not okay. But why are you just saying that my daughter's a bad kid? Why are you not dealing with your son who has been terrorizing her, bullying her for her glasses all day, has hit her? And then when she loses it and turns around and hits him, this is not right either. But, start with your son. Teach him not to bully, teach him not to pick on people for how they look, teach him not to hit girls. And I'm pretty sure she won't lay a finger on him.
No.
But
I think if you raise boys and girls the same way, then also later on you have less problems, yeah? And you were mentioning it, yeah? I mean, the pay gap in the agricultural sector, it's huge, between men and women. And in the tourism and hotel business, for the same job at the moment, men are earning 42% more than women. So for the same job, so you can really see the discrepancy, which is
40
tough.
In tourism.
In tourism area, it's a really tough...
for the same job, so...
The same jobs. Overall, so it's not for one hotel, but if in average, so what...
So like a waiter in a hotel or something, 42% more.
This is something we have to address, and this is why you need data, why you really have to go into this topic. And it's also landowners, yeah, even if... and this is also something I think we really much supported very well. So owning lands or flats, yeah. If you're married and you want to buy property, flat or whatever, for up to some years it was very clear that in the contract and the owner was mainly the man. Even if you put in and you pay for the same amount. So it was very clear. So now, after we trained all notaries, and also we just after the change of law, which says both have to be part of it, yeah. So now it's really changing that you also have a property, because when you're getting divorced, the man gets everything, the woman gets nothing. Yeah. So this is now, I think this was one of the biggest successes we always had.
Yes,
already had to really make awareness about these kind of issues, and also giving advice to women so that they have the rights to be part of this.
But if you could wave a magic wand and change something instantly for gender equality in Albania, what would it be?
That's a very good question.
Let me pull out my list.
I think I really want to have the awareness even amongst women, how they raise kids, yeah? So that is really something, so it's kind of this traditional, but really to make sure that there isn't everything, there is no difference, yeah? And that it's really coming up. So this is
to get rid of toxicity from how we are teaching our children. There is a lot of toxicity in it. I see the differences in school, where parents really put so much pressure on the kids. You have to be best, you have to be perfect. Don't help your friend if they ask you for help. Where parents do the homework as well because they want the kid to look good. It's not about the kid knowing. It's all these things that put so much pressure on the kid.
On the kid or on the girl? On the kids at all or on the girl?
On the children. So they have this pressure. You have to be perfect. I'm going to do your homework for you. You tell your teacher you did it, because they have to look good. And the kid grows up like anything less than perfect is not acceptable. And they put all this pressure on themselves. And I think this is quite common with girls, maybe more than boys as well. But yeah, removing that toxicity from how we bring up the kids and what we expect of them. One of the things that I would do, I would extend the school day. Or either extend the school day or have a free after-school club, because at the moment, state school finishes at 11:30 or 12:30 or 1 in some cases, which means that women who are working either have to pay around 200 to 250 euros a month for after school, or they have to finish early or rely on family members to pick up their kids to they have to sit and do the homework with their children. And I believe that this is a big problem because women are having to they're struggling. The pressure goes on them, to do this. So you're either spending €200 a month on after school, or you're having to work, fit your work day around picking your child up, making sure they've done their homework, giving them their lunch. I think by extending the school day in some way, or extending the state care until 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock even, would definitely help women with their careers, would help families save money as well. I think this is one relatively small change that would have a big impact on Albanian families, even in rural areas as well.
Can absolutely support this because childcare is a very important topic.
You could get student teachers from the university to come in and to do an after-school club where you do homework, where they can learn, I don't know, another language or about Greek history or whatever. You can use student teachers for this sort of thing. I think this would help women empowerment a lot in Albania. And I'm biased because I struggle with this problem every day as well. Right, so I have some slightly more light-hearted questions for the end of our interview. Favorite place in Albania and why?
This is even a very tough question.
You don't want to risk upsetting 90% of the country with your answer.
There are so many places I really like. If I go to the mountains, I like Lepush and the area around there very much. I really like, if it's not too crowded, when I go to Permet and there's the hot springs and they're going into the court in this gorge, they're walking along this and swimming and walking. It's extremely fun. I like Old Chepao very much, being up there and having a view downstairs. I like Billis, being there with having all these. So there's extremely nice places.
Yes.
And I have to admit also we have developed this app of agritourism.
Yes.
You have all these agritourisms in a place, and every time when we are in an area and we want to spend a weekend, and according to this app, we look what's around here, they are all so beautiful and it's so much fun, and they're also different. You have one where you have the trouts and you can do something else, then you have cooking classes, and they're all in this very beautiful landscapes. So it's really tough.
I know, I get asked this question all the time and I'm like, it really depends on my mood, what I want to do, the weather.
The weather,
I can't pick one. Okay, now this is a tough one, but I enjoyed thinking about this. If you were asked to make a cocktail that reflected the taste of Albania, what would you put in it?
A cocktail of Albania. It must be something where you have all these... it must be something where it's with happier, because the people are always happy and active, and it must be energetic. So it must be really...
Raki, then.
Yeah, Raki, it's very hot, yeah. So it must be definitely have this part of in it. Then it must be very beautiful looking, because this is also something, the aesthetics everywhere you go, I mean, you see this very... I don't know, you have a very old farming house, but you go inside and it looks modern and nicely decorated. So they have this, also the small things, really,
details.
The detail-oriented things are really, this must be also something, so it must be a very nice-looking class.
Yes.
It must be very beautifully designed and with lots of natural stuff, So I'm not thinking of any strange colors. So not pinkish
natural
things, it's very natural colors. This also has to be an ingredient.
I think I'd put raki, obviously, and then maybe like shega juice, pomegranate juice or something, because this is very...
Pomegranate makes it very good.
And maybe some chai mali and some honey. I mean, I don't know. These are the things that scream Albanian to me. But then I think maybe it should be red, to reflect... Yeah, it's a difficult question, but it could be quite a fun way to spend an afternoon coming up with an Albanian sort of cocktail. If there was one way of doing things that's uniquely Albanian, now you're from Germany, Germans are known for being quite structured and, rules and being on time and everything. But and Albania's not like that. But if there was something you could take from the Albanian culture, the Albanian way of doing things, the Albanian mentality that you could take back to Germany with you, what would it be?
They are so pragmatic and I like it. So really not thinking about all the consequences, but doing things and doing it on a very pragmatic, easy way, and not thinking about hierarchy, not thinking about lots of different things, but doing it. Mm-hmm. And I really like this.
Yes.
So things are happening so quickly here. And
Germany could do with a bit of that.
Much more.
No, I think, definitely some Albanian spirit would go a long way in the UK, for example, shake things up a bit and get things moving. We're a bit too boring in our parliament in the UK. And
but you're much more lively than we are, I think.
Well, yeah. We have quite good insults when our politicians fight with each other. We're very sarcastic and sort of, and we had Boris Johnson as well, who was quite
very famous for his sessions in the parliament.
Clips come up of him on Instagram sometimes, like mispronouncing things and like using a zip line, and I'm like, oh God. You must have met so many amazing people during your time in Albania. I mean, in far-flung villages and towns, and when you're implementing your project, who's the person who's really impacted you the most? Can you think of one person, one human story, one character which has really or will stay with you forever?
Oh, this is even as hard as the others, because you also have these different characters here, yeah? Mm-hmm. I mean, there are really these young agritourism startups, yeah, when Albania was host of the International Tourism Fair, for instance, yeah. So I met all these people who really was trying to bring their products on the markets. And I have two in mind, so I don't want to mention them, but one was, at the beginning, he didn't dare to talk in English because he was so afraid and so shy. And then he was not sure of the product he was developing. He was promoting one of these Kula.
I know who it is.
and then to see how he evolved over the time, now being strong on Instagram and
he's
open,
brilliant.
Talking English, thinking about the broader environment, not only about the thing. I mean, this development, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. On the other side, we have startups here who really did amazing jobs, yeah. So this was really, they're really waking up. Then you have so much, I could also say names, but it's maybe not fair. But you have.
I think you're gonna be sad to leave Albania. That's the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah. No, but it's. Maybe I do it like you.
Yes, it was a 3-day holiday.
Maybe I'll fight for a residency and stay.
Sonja, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for the interview.
That's all for this week. You can watch Inside Albania every Saturday on Euronews Albania, on our YouTube channel, Euronews Albania, or across all major podcasting platforms. Until next time, mirë pafshim!